Greetings, listeners, domestic, international, and extraterrestrial. I'm Daive Reed.
And I'm Kristen Riley, and this is the Cast Files.
I am a nerd who has somehow never seen the X-Files?
And I watched it when it originally aired. The Cast Files is a podcast where we watch and discuss every episode of the X-Files, spoiler-free.
Today we are talking about Season 3, Episode 20, Jose Chung, From Outer Space. It originally aired April 12th, terrible word, 1996. It was written by my man, Darren Morgan, and directed by Rob Bowman, everybody's man, who directed Airborne, the rock and rollerblade movie, starring Shane McDermott, Seth Green, and a young Jack Black.
You put on a whole voice for this one.
It deserves it.
I see. All right. Well, what does IMDb say about Jose Chung?
From Outer Space, or just the character of Jose Chung?
There's a lot to say about all of it, actually. Scully recounts the investigation of an alleged UFO encounter for the famous, quirky author Jose Chung's latest novel. The case gives a whole new meaning to the term Rashomon effect. Chung... Oh, I spoiled it.
All right, we'll be cutting that out.
I didn't read that line before.
You Ron Burgundy'd it?
Yep. The rest of the lines I've read. That one, I didn't read. All right, you ready for the cast? It's a long one.
Yes, I can't wait for the cast because I was just excited the whole time.
Yeah, I knew you would be. Charles Nelson Riley as Jose Chung is also in Millennium as Jose Chung.
Shut up. So that show takes place in the same universe.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I did not know that.
That's all I can tell you. I've got no other details. He was also in All Dogs Go to Heaven as Killer. William Lucking as Rocky Crikensen was in The Greatest American Hero.
Hell yeah.
As Robert Allen Klein. Daniel Quinn as Jack Schaefer was in 33 episodes of The Young and the Restless.
Good for him.
It's a lot of episodes.
It is.
He was in some other stuff, but not 33 episodes of anything else. Sarah Sawatsky as Chrissy Giorgio was in Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2, and also The Girl from Mars.
Okay. Don't know any of those.
Jason Gaffney as Harold Lamb was in Alive as Victor Bolarich. Alive.
It's another plane crash.
Yep. So many plane crashes. So many aliens.
I don't think there's any aliens in Alive.
It's because it's the retelling.
Or
it's a cover-up.
Or are you saying that because none of them are American?
Why? Oh, because they would be aliens in the United States. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not.
You suddenly become xenophobic out of nowhere?
No. Obviously, that's not what I meant. It took me a while to get your joke. We have Alex Diakin as Dr. Fingers, which I don't know that we knew what his name was.
Like, this is the same hypnosis guy, right?
Yeah.
We've seen him before. If I knew his name was Dr. Fingers, I did not let myself remember it.
Yep. He was in Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Wow, that one's the 8th one?
Yep.
Oof. I thought it was like the 3rd one.
No. There's so many of those.
Yeah.
Larry Musser as Detective Manners. He was in The Edge.
The Edge. Is that with Alec Baldwin and Sir Anthony Hopkins fighting a bear?
Maybe. He played amphibian pilot, and it's a cover with two white men who are growl yelling.
Are those two white men Alec Baldwin and Sir Anthony Hopkins?
Maybe. I looked at them.
I bet it is.
About 5 minutes ago. And I cannot tell you.
I bet that's who it is.
Jaap? J-A-A-P? Broker as the Stupendous Yappy.
Hell yeah, Yappy.
That's it.
I was glad to see him again.
Yeah. Alan Zinyak as Blaine Faulkner. He is also in Millennium. But
ooh, as Blaine Faulkner?
No, as Brian Rodecker.
That's too bad.
I know.
Would have been a nice...
continuation?
For my heart.
Yep.
I guess.
That's why I wrote his name, because he is not playing the same character. Unfortunate. Michael Dobson as Sergeant Hynek. He is most recently in, well, I don't know what he's most recently in, but he is in Sausage Party as Queso.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Oh, great.
Okay, we're almost done. I told you it was an extensive cast.
Yes.
Mina E. Mina as Dr. Hand.
Mina E. Mina?
Yep.
Great name.
Yes. No picture on the IMDb, but they were in The 13th Warrior.
Ooh, as who?
Mm-hmm.
Uncredited?
I don't know. I didn't write it down.
I love that movie.
I was going to write it down, and then I was like, he doesn't remember anybody's name from The 13th Warrior.
Herger the Jokester. Herger is the name of the guy. I can't remember. He's like the jokester, the flippant, the witty, something like that. But also Bullwife is the chieftain.
Oh, well.
The movie is really about.
I'm sorry.
It's not really about Antonio Banderas. It's about Bullwife.
Well,
Played by Vladimir Coolidge. Guest star on The X-Files.
Well, I apologize for not writing down the name because...
Great movie.
No.
And it deserves respect.
Because I was totally like, he's talked about this movie, but won't remember character names. And you know what? I doubted you, and that's on me.
You know what? It's fine, because I think I've extinguished the extent of my knowledge of the character names.
Well, finally, we have the Men in Black. Man in Black number 1, Jesse Ventura.
Hell yeah. Jesse Ventura.
The amount of times I giggled mostly revolved around when he was on screen. He was in a lot of movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, including Predator.
Yes.
As Blaine.
Yes. We have a Blaine in this one, too.
I ain't got time to bleed.
He was so much fun.
I'm a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
What does that even mean?
Who cares? It's wonderful.
It's true. It's true. Who cares? And as Man in Black number 2, Alex Trebek.
Wonderful reveal.
Yeah.
Because he was in the background the whole time, and I thought it was like Jesse Ventura and Jesse Ventura as the Men in Black until he showed his face.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were doing until he grabbed Mulder. It was amazing. It's a great reveal. I loved it.
It was very good. Alex Trebek was in Rugrats.
Awesome.
As Alan Quebec.
Nice.
And production note before we get started.
Mm-hmm.
Director Rob Bowman confessed he had to read the script 15 times and then hold an 8-hour meeting with Darren Morgan to fully understand all of its intricacies.
Amazing. You know what he didn't have to do?
Rewrite it.
Exactly.
This one, there's actually another note that Chris Carter stated Darren Morgan's scripts are the only ones he didn't rewrite.
Wow. I told you, he's the best X-Files writer.
He is the best. He is the best writer. Was this an X-File?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows what actually happened?
Yeah. I mean, that's
kind of what the X-Files are.
We'll talk about that later, but it's definitely a good episode of the X-Files. I'll just talk about it right now, I guess. The fact that it's just told from so many different people's perspectives, I always love it when TV shows do that. Because it just illustrates how human memory is stupid. We're bad at remembering.
It's fallible. It's absolutely fallible.
So the same event happening from different perspectives is always going to be different.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's really, really good.
One of my favorite episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a season 3 episode called The Zeppo. And the whole thing is told from Xander's point of view. It just follows Xander around. There's a full end-of-the-world apocalypse happening with the other Scoobies, and the episode just follows Xander around. It's so much fun. It's so good. And you get to see, like, Buffy and Angel's relationship every time they're on screen together. It's the most tragic thing ever. It's just like, oh, no, I don't want you to die. Oh, I'm Angel, so I want to die.
Yeah.
It's so over-the-top dramatic.
I remember that.
And it's because you're seeing it from Xander's point of view. He's like, these two. It's amazing.
He is the audience surrogate in those moments.
Uh-huh.
Whether or not you realize it, audience. All right, so all of that to say that this is a non-linear plot, and I'm going to tell it as linearly as possible.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say, and then this person says this to this person, and then we jump to another scene but we see the same thing and it does this and that. It'll get too complex. So I'm going to try to tell the story in the sequence that we saw it.
Okay.
As it unravels. And then there are certain areas where when the plot point changes from Scully telling Chung what's going on, I'll note that.
Okay. I'll try to figure out where to drop my jokes.
Yeah, it's... Oof. So as we start, we are in Class County, Washington. We see a humorous opening shot as a tribute to Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, with the bottom of a cherry picker basket reminiscent of Imperial Star Destroyer.
Yeah, they definitely try to make you think it's a UFO, and my first note is, nice try.
Yeah, when you said that was your first note, I was like, let me add this in.
Nice try.
The power is out, and we see a teenage couple driving down the street. We see Red Flag Harold and Chrissy.
Wow, Red Flag Harold.
You don't think so?
He fell in love quick. He's young.
He's declaring his love on the first date.
That's not the first time they met.
I guess. They are returning from a date one evening. Harold's car suddenly stops. Chrissy asks what's wrong. Harold doesn't know. And then they see a UFO, and they pass out. That's when we see the pair of Greys.
And that's when I wrote my second note. Nice try. Knew immediately those weren't aliens.
However, the gray aliens are themselves soon confronted by a giant, single-eyed third alien from another race.
That's when I wrote my third note. Jason and the Argonauts-ass alien.
At which point, the panicking Greys address each other in English. One is named Jack.
Yeah. They said, what the hell is that? And that's when I wrote my fourth note. What? They got me in the end.
All right, alien type count. What are we at now? We've got the Greys. We've got the Black Oil.
Okay.
We've got the bounty hunter guy.
The Greys are all humans in disguise, though.
That's true, but the humans that are seeing them don't know that.
Okay.
So I guess they don't count.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Black Oil.
Alien species. I'm going to try to do this in order.
Go for it.
We have purity control. Rawr!
Yes, which is also a Grey. That baby, that was a baby Grey.
Probably, but we don't really know. We just know it's an alien, and that's where they're creating their alien-human hybrids from.
Yes, okay, purity control.
We have predator alien.
Oh, yeah!
We have cockroach aliens.
Oh, yeah!
We have the Black Oil, or the entity.
Yep.
And Brian Thompson, shapeshifter.
Yes.
So we have 5.
That is 5.
And so Jason and the Argonauts is 6.
Wow. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And in the Bounty Hunter Guy episodes, the twins are created from purity control and humans?
They're clones of Samantha Mulder.
Right. Aren't they also aliens?
They also have to be kind of alien. So they're spliced with Samantha Mulder and aliens.
Yeah.
But not necessarily purity control. Because purity control guys they had to hang out in aquariums.
That's right.
And their blood was poisonous.
Right.
The clones were you stab them in the back of the neck and they turn to goo.
That's right. That's a whole different
that's
hybrid thing.
Yeah, that's a different
They're
thing.
clones, but they're not human clones.
They're spliced human alien clones.
And then we have the other aliens that are also spliced in the train cars and stuff.
Yes, they are saying
huge pit of obviously alien bodies.
Right. Yeah, I thought that whatever that is, human alien hybrid or just alien, because they all just look like aliens.
But they look like Greys.
Yeah. So Greys. Oh, we have skinny legs.
Yes, that's right.
Totally forgot about skinny legs.
You like my skinny jeans? My skinny legs?
That's 7.
Yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot.
We're probably still missing something.
This solar system is jam-packed.
It's too crowded. I'm moving out. All right. At a later point in time, Agent Dana Scully is interviewed about the case by famed author Jose Chung.
Who I immediately recognize as Charles Nelson Riley, My fifth note is Charles Nelson Riley, exclamation point.
It is. He is researching a book he is writing about alien abductions and the UFO phenomena. My note,
Yes.
This is exactly what happened to the Hills. So I'm very excited to talk about this.
Yeah. We have teased out that next week we are releasing an episode that I'm calling a special report.
Oh, good.
Because it's not a bonus episode, because it's going to take the place of a regular episode. So I'm calling it a special report.
Yep. So remember this whole episode going into our next episode. Scully notes that Chrissy was found with all her clothes inside out, appearing to be the victim of date rape. Because the X-Files loves rape.
Yeah. Also, why?
I don't know.
She said like inside out and upside down or backwards or something.
But then it wasn't, because we saw her and her blouse was on front ways, but inside out. It was buttoned up the front.
And it's the Air Force. They know how to put human clothes on a person.
And maybe it's to throw them off the scent. They're like, it wouldn't be the Air Force, because the Air Force would know how to put clothes on a person.
I guess if they were trying to get the boyfriend to take the fall.
Yeah.
I guess.
So what Scully says is after Chrissy is released from the hospital or wherever, I'm assuming the hospital, to do some sort of exam, because Scully brings that up later, briefly. Harold shows up at Chrissy's house the night after she was abducted, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
And he had just woken up.
And he's like, but I love you, so I'm here.
Because something messed up happened to us, and I'm here to see if you're okay.
Yeah, well, she's not okay.
She's not.
Under questioning, Harold claims that he did not rape Chrissy, but that they were both abducted by aliens, which would be a wild thing for someone to say.
It would, and that's why he says, I know it sounds crazy,
but
just like Jose Chung earlier in the episode says, you ever notice how they always say, I know it sounds crazy,
but
here's something crazy.
Yep. Yes, this episode is, besides the rape stuff, this episode is fun. I just wish they had done something else. So, a local detective, Detective Manners, does not believe Harold's story, but Mulder has Chrissy undergo hypnosis, in which she describes being on a spaceship surrounded by aliens.
Our favorite thing.
And the set here is pretty rad, because we get to see what this would look like when it's being explained. And what did you call it? You called it a goth Barbarella.
Can you explain where you're at? I'm in goth Barbarella.
She is all done up with like 80s hair, and she's got leather or pleather.
Just covering all her bits.
All the bits.
And then like hoses coming out.
Yep. And then there's Grays standing in front of her, and they ask if she can see Harold, and Harold is laying on a table. She's kind of propped up, and Harold is laying on a table, unconscious, but also in the high-waisted panties of the 80s aerobics era.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So he wasn't left out, in case anybody was
he's
wondering.
getting the same awesome treatment.
He also had a cod piece on, did you notice?
Yes.
Which is just like, okay. The 80s and 90s.
Speaking of okay, cut it out. There's a box of Tim Hortons on the table over there.
Oh yeah, when she comes back out of the trance, but we're still having someone else retelling the story.
I don't think America had Tim Hortons in 1996.
You don't?
No.
Tim Hortons feels like it's been around forever.
It has, but it's Canadian.
I don't know.
I've never seen a Tim Hortons in person.
I didn't look it up because you said Tim Hortons and I was like, yep.
They are in Washington though, so maybe it dipped down a little.
Maybe. We're learning all of this through Scully talking to Jose Chung, as I mentioned at the top. And Chung asks Scully, what is your opinion of hypnosis? And Scully says, I know that it has its therapeutic value, but it has never been proven to enhance memory. In fact, it actually worsens it since people in that state are prone to confabulation. And I want you to bulge that for next week's episode.
I want you to do a Charles Nelson Riley impression.
I didn't listen to him enough to do it.
That's too bad. He's a fun person to listen to.
So Naughty Marietta, I played a little part. A fop. I always played fops. I don't know what it means. But anyway, I played this part. I carried an umbrella and it was very hot.
You do it then.
I don't on. I wanted you to do it.
Well, I can't. I don't. You always ask me to do impressions, and I can't do impressions.
It's fun to listen to you do impressions.
What, little lady, is your opinion of hypnosis?
Nailed it. It's perfect. Perfect.
What is your opinion of hypnosis?
I know that it has its therapeutic value, but it has never been proven to enhance memory. In fact, it actually worsens it, since people in that state are prone to confabulation.
When I was doing research for my book, The Caligarian Candidate...
One of the greatest thrillers ever written.
Thank you. I was interested in how the CIA, when conducting their MK-Ultra mind control experiments back in the 50s, had no idea how hypnosis worked or what it was.
No one still knows.
Still, as a storyteller, I'm fascinated how a person's sense of consciousness can be so transformed by nothing more magical than listening to words. Mere words.
Note to editor, try to find Charles Nelson Riley actually saying that.
You won't be able to tell the difference. All right. Detective Manners is Morgan's comedic relief, with his bad language being said aloud as dialogue in a straight-faced manner that he would have delivered actual dialogue.
So he's saying bleep instead of whatever word he would be using.
It's
just fantastic.
It's amazing, and I have a note on that. Detective Manners is named for the late Kim Manners, one of the show's long-standing producers. His colorful phraseology is also reminiscent of the real-life Manners' salty behind-the-scenes language.
Amazing. He did have that incredibly clever name for Teso dos bitches.
Harold's recollection includes him and Chrissy being kept in small cages. The same cage, in fact. And these types of cages remind me of what they keep in slaughterhouses where pigs are, or...
Spoiler.
Is it?
Everything's a spoiler for Barbarian.
I don't know why.
People are supposed to not know anything about that.
I don't know why.
I don't either, but I'm going with it because there is at least one movie where I definitely think you should watch it without knowing anything about it. And
yes, it's The Girl with All the Gifts.
Yes. That movie, you need to go in blind.
Barbarian, though, doesn't make any sense.
I don't think so either, but that's what they're saying, so I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
I'm ruining it for everybody.
Wow.
You know what happens, guys? And I have to say out loud, stay there and do not show up in my bedroom. Thank you and good night.
I don't know if that's a spoiler or not.
I don't know either, because people would know he's in it, right?
I have no idea. I didn't know he was in it before we watched it.
Me neither.
Awesome.
He also claims, he being Harold, also claims to have encountered a cigarette-smoking gray alien on the ship who kept repeating, "This is not happening. This is not happening."
Those were two different guys.
That's what I thought.
One of them is a cigarette-smoking alien. One of them is just saying, this is not happening. But apparently those alien suits, unlike women's dresses, have pockets.
Fucking hell. You're right. God damn it. Riley pointed that out to me again just the other day. We were heading somewhere and he put an entire water bottle in his pocket. And I was like, it was after, can you hold this card for me because I don't have a pocket that this card will fit in? He's like, sure, let me put it in my other pocket, not the one with the entire water bottle in it. So dumb. Mulder is convinced that Chrissy and Harold were abducted by aliens, but Scully thinks it is more plausible that the two teenagers simply had consensual sex and are struggling to deal with the emotional aftermath. In short, neither Scully nor Mulder believe Chrissy. Manners, Detective Manners, not Kim, points them to a guy who's convinced that he saw a UFO. So, the agents go to speak with him. He's an electric power company lineman named Rocky Krikensen. He is the one who was in the opening shot?
I didn't notice
Maybe?
him in the opening shot, and we only watched this one once.
Yeah.
So it's hard to go back and look for things.
Well, he claims that he witnessed the abduction of Chrissy and Harold, and then turned his eyewitness account into a screenplay.
I noticed that as soon as he showed the agents. I was like, that looks like a screenplay.
Pretty amazing. He recounts a strange visit to his home from a pair of men in black who told him that the UFO he thought he saw the night before was merely the planet Venus, and threatened to kill him if he told anyone otherwise, which I kind of laugh as I'm saying because it returns and returns
Yes,
and returns.
it's hilarious.
So do you want to be the man in black?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sorry, the first man in black? I'll be Rocky.
And now for Cast Files Theater.
No other object has been misidentified as a flying saucer more than the planet Venus.
Really?
Even the former leader of your United States, James Earl Carter Jr., thought he saw a UFO once. I looked down at a document which reads The Truth About Aliens by Rocky Crichtonson. But it's been proven that he only saw the planet Venus.
Rocky grabs the document and clutches it close to his chest, leaning back in his chair as far as possible. I'm a Republican!
Venus was at its peak brilliance last night. You probably thought you saw something in the sky other than Venus, but I assure you, it was Venus.
That was Cast Files Theater.
I have another note.
Uh-huh.
The same thing came up with the hills.
Interesting.
All right, Rocky's screenplay describes his meeting with the third alien, Lord Kinboat, who took him to the center of the earth and told Rocky that he had a great mission for him.
I love this bit because when Mulder reads that part, he looks so crestfallen.
He does!
He was sitting here thinking he had something. He had a really good account of an alien abduction in his hands and then was just devastated.
It was amazing.
Really good work by David Duchovny.
Yes.
He has another really good acting work later in the episode that I must talk about.
Yes, absolutely. Production note, the alien Lord Kinboat was meant to be an homage to stop-motion animator Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah, Jason and the Argonauts.
The suited performer was filmed in a way to make the alien's movements look a little like stop-motion.
Yeah, I nailed that.
You really did. Yeah, that was really good. In telling Rocky's version of events to Jose Chung, Scully explains that Rocky has a fantasy-prone personality. Mulder, however, thinks that Rocky's story contains some partial truths and decides to have Chrissy re-hypnotized, quote, to see if what she remembers is what she remembers.
Hypnosis is just like Inception. Bwah!
I've never seen it and will not, so I will take your word for it.
I didn't know that you'd never seen Inception. That's a terrible movie.
Yeah,
This is awful.
I know that.
Do not recommend it.
I'm great.
It's like this. Okay, if we go one layer deeper, we'll get to what she really remembers. Ugh.
Yeah. Remember this for later.
If she goes back under hypnosis, wouldn't she just remember again the thing that she was told to remember the first?
If hypnosis was real, probably.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If hypnosis was real in recovering, it was a real way of recovering lost memories. Hypnosis is probably helpful for therapeutic reasons, like working through
quitting smoking.
Right, working through something, maybe, right, taking the edge off if you're of addictions. There's applications that maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Recovering memories.
Yeah, regression hypnosis is what we complain about when we complain about hypnosis.
Yeah.
We are using some shorthand, but that's what we are talking about.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify because it is clarified a little bit later, but it also needs to be clarified now because I will bring it up again next week.
Bold. The concept of hypnosis.
This time, she claims that when she was captured, she saw the U.S. military, not aliens, and they brainwashed her into believing that she was abducted. It was for, quote, the good of her country, unquote, is what the military said.
Yeah.
If the military abduct me, and then they replace my memories and tell me it's for the good of my country, I'm going to bite somebody.
Good. Good luck. I hope you do it. I hope you bite a bunch of people. If you bite the entirety of the United States military.
So if you're listening, U.S. government,
better watch out.
I'll bite you. After hypnosis, Scully and Mulder disagree more, with Scully pointing out the confabulations in the more recent hypnosis story, stating leading questions and such.
But we didn't see any leading questions.
But we didn't see any questions, really.
Right. The one thing they are doing with their regression hypnosis is just asking questions like, what do you see?
Yes.
They're not like, in real life, what regression hypnosis is. Did this thing happen to you?
Right. They are doing a decent job in showing, yes, they're showing the shorthand.
They're showing, like, what it would look like if this was real.
Yeah. And what Scully is saying is there were leading questions. Because she says that on screen, if we are to believe her account of how things went, then we would have to believe that she also was in the room while this was happening, hearing leading questions. That's when Manners comes in, talking about a blankety-blank who claims he found a dead gray body. Chung speaks to a science fiction and Dungeons & Dragons fanatic, Blaine, who frequently roams the woods of Class County at night looking for UFOs. As Blaine tells Chung, one night he found an alien body that was subsequently recovered by Mulder, Scully, and Detective Manners.
He calls them the Men in Black.
Yes. Do you want to do this? I have the whole scene.
Oh, okay.
So we are in Blaine Faulkner's room. Chung is sitting at the desk. Blaine is sitting on his bed, which is just a mattress on the floor. I mean, we've all been there. Do you want to be Blaine or Jose?
I guess your Charles Nelson Riley impression is so
I already forgot what I did.
That I should definitely be Blaine. Interior, Blaine Faulkner's room. Blaine is sitting on his bed.
Chung is sitting at the desk. I already said this part.
I'm saying it again.
Okay.
I know how crazy this is going to sound, but I want to be abducted by aliens.
Why? Whatever for?
I hate this town. I hate people. I just want to be taken away to someplace where I don't have to worry about finding a job.
So you were out in the field last night?
Blaine nods, looking for UFOs.
So we cut to a wooded area where Blaine walks through a tall underbrush carrying a flashlight. Blaine and Chung talk over the scene.
There had been some recent sightings, so I was just hoping to stumble across one. Blaine yells and falls flat on his face as he trips over something. Now, I've read every book ever written about UFOs and aliens, not because I had to, but because I wanted to.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the clarification.
Blaine looks back at the thing, puts on his glasses, and shines his flashlight. He gasps and tries to struggle to his feet and crawls off in the other direction of his findings. I should have known to just go get my video camera. Then, instead of notifying the proper authorities, he runs off after he watches a black car, much like the Men in Black one, pull up next to a police car.
What was wrong with doing that?
Because the proper authorities showed up with a couple Men in Black.
So the Men in Black are Scully and Mulder. They get out of their car, carrying flashlights, and walking slowly toward Blaine.
Great misdirect, great reveal. I loved it. One of them was described as a woman, but wasn't pulling it off. Like, her hair was red, but it was a little too red, you know? And the other one, the tall, lanky one, his face was so blank and expressionless, he didn't even seem human. I think he was a man droid. I love Darren Morgan taking shots at David Duchovny. It's so funny every time.
At this point in the flashback scene, Blaine turns around, wincing, feeling stupid and afraid. Mulder indeed shows no emotion as they approach the dead gray alien's body.
The only time he reacted was when he saw the dead body.
Ah!
Just like you seeing.
When he stop? I say my prayer every night now. In order to keep it from happening. Stay at your house. So then we get into the back and forth of what's happening at the scene. Detective Manners says, yeah, that's a bleeping dead alien body if I ever bleeping saw one. Scully directs them to wrap it up, and the officer says, you got him, which is, oh my gosh, this is so funny. This is when Scully comes over to Blaine in Blaine's retelling, grabs him, and says, "You never saw this. This didn't happen. You tell anyone, you're a dead man." And then she pushes him away slightly as Blaine whimpers. She walks away, and then we cut to the present day. It was amazing, because at this point, that's when Scully says, "He said I said what?"
It was great.
Oh, it was really good, too, because this scene cuts into the next scene in a great way. So Jose says, "When I interviewed him, he claimed you threatened him." And Scully says, "That's ridiculous. And besides, we allowed him to view the autopsy," which is pretty solid in a way that I can see why they needed to discuss how this was going to flow, but they did it. They pulled it off, man.
Yeah. Such a well done episode.
Before we leave Blaine's room and go into the autopsy, there is a set note. The iconic "I Want to Believe" poster can be seen in Blaine's apartment. However, his poster has "want to" crossed out, leaving only "I believe."
That's hilarious. I didn't see that.
All right, so now we're in the autopsy. There's the Gray laying on the autopsy table. Mulder and Scully are there. So is Detective Manners. And Blaine comes in with a videotape recorder. Not just a videotape.
Watch this copy of RoboCop I got off of HBO.
You can fast forward through the commercials. He comes in yelling Roswell.
You can't hide the truth.
So it's amazing.
Roswell.
Yeah. Mulder allows Blaine to videotape Scully performing the autopsy on the alien, which we'll get into in a minute. While she's autopsying it, a lot of things start to happen. So this is where the timeline gets a little cloudy, but Mulder allows Blaine to videotape Scully performing the autopsy, which quickly is released as a video, quote, documentary that is narrated by...
the stupendous Yappy!
That's right. Now, later, Blaine is watching the autopsy in his room.
Yeah.
And... the autopsy, and we're kind of cutting back and forth between Blaine's room and the autopsy, which is why I'm not jumping scene to scene. But here is pretty interesting, because when Scully does the visual in autopsy first, which is what you always are supposed to do. Why do I know about autopsies? The stuff I read for this show. But you do the visual first, and then you go in and start doing the other stuff, the internal. During the visual autopsy, it is revealed that the alien has a zipper, in which Scully pulls the head off.
I want to know how you didn't realize that this was not a real alien when you used the bone saw on its skull.
I don't know. Because it's all somebody else remembering how these things work. You wouldn't use the bone saw on the skull before the visual autopsy is complete, either. Yeah. Anyway, she ends up pulling the mask off to reveal a dead Air Force pilot in a costume. There's an amazing scene continuing the Chung and Blaine interview in which Jesse Ventura and another man in black, who Blaine smiles at and seems happy to see. Did you notice?
Mm-mm.
So Jesse kicks open the door, which was amazing.
Yes. And
barrels into the room. And he's talking, and he looks around at the other guy, whose face we still can't see.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, "Oh, hey!" And he smiles real big.
That's hilarious.
And then he turns back because Jesse's like, "You can't watch this," or whatever, and takes the tape. And that's when Jesse takes the tape and does some wrestling move that knocks Blaine out.
Gives him a backbreaker.
Okay. So then Blaine is laying passed out on the bed, and he says, "I don't know how long I was out until..." And then we see him be slapped in the face by Mulder, who has come to get the tape. Blaine tells him the tape's not there, and then Mulder threatens his life. "If you tell anybody about this, I'll kill you." What are the actual words? "If you tell anyone, you're a dead man." Amazing. It's a lot of death threats for our boy Blaine.
Poor Blaine. A man who just wants to escape capitalism.
Seriously.
Wants to escape capitalism so bad he will go be probed by aliens, because that is less demeaning.
Mm-hmm. The dead pilot's superiors arrive to claim the body, but find it missing. Mulder tricks the military officers into revealing the identity of a second missing Air Force pilot, Lieutenant Jack Schaefer.
Such a good scene where Mulder knows that there's 2 aliens, so he knows there's 2 pilots. When the Air Force comes to get the pilot, they go, oh, we got the other guy too. He's right over there. Oh, he's not there. I guess he's still AWOL.
Yep.
Then they walk into the autopsy room, and that body's gone too. And the Air Force guy goes, oh, I guess he's still AWOL.
Yep. It was really good.
Everybody's getting everybody.
Which didn't actually happen.
This is the part I believe, because they definitely got that body back from them.
You always think of the fun, quippy things after the fact, though. I'm saying in the moment, they weren't this
Mulder
sharp.
is pretty good at quips in the moment, though.
All right.
He's written that way. Look, I'm not saying it's realistic. Just saying the character does do that well.
Every episode of The X-Files is a retelling.
Go with it, Scully.
It's what we're doing here anyway. So as Mulder remembers it, that night he found Schaefer in a dazed state, walking naked down a highway in Class County. He's got some lacerations on his body and some straight up cuts across his chest.
Yeah, he's looking rough.
He is. Schaefer thinks that he and his partner and the 2 teenagers, Chrissy and Harold, were abducted by real aliens in a real UFO. But Schaefer is also unsure if his surroundings are real or a hallucination, and he tells Mulder that he may not even exist himself, as he cannot be sure.
He is part of an operation that implants fake memories into people. So when he gets abducted by aliens, knowing that that's fake memories they put in other people, he is wrecked.
Yep.
This guy in this scene elicits a lot of sympathy from me. And then I think about it when he's gone, and I'm like, oh, no, he's part of this. Fuck him.
Yeah.
He does not deserve sympathy. He did this to how many other people?
Yes.
Yeah. Now that it's happening to you, it's a problem?
Yes. It's always a bigger problem when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah. But in the scene, though, they do a really good job of making you sympathize with this guy.
Yes.
Who does not know what real life is anymore.
Yeah.
And then they come and get him, and he's like, well, looks like I'm a dead man.
He definitely says that. The superiors come in, take him away, and before leaving, that's what he says. There's a small bit of trivia here, kind of another homage during the diner scene, because they're in a diner when Schaefer is talking to Mulder.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, which is important in a minute. So just setting it up. Schaefer is using his fork to sculpt his mashed potatoes into an approximation of Devil's Tower, just like the Richard Dreyfuss character in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Did you write that?
I did.
Oh, I didn't notice. I found this in the IMDb trivia.
I saw it as soon as the first shot of them in the diner. He's got his fork just running along the side of his mashed potatoes. I'm like, Devil's Tower.
I bet I was typing furiously. I was like, the commercial breaks aren't long enough! So, what we hear shortly after this is the diner's perspective, or the diner's cook's perspective, because we find out that Jose Chung had frequented that diner
Went there every day.
Yes, and became friends with the diner cook, sorry.
And the diner.
And the diner, sure. And so there's a whole other version. The diner's cook has a different version of the story, of course. And when he tells Jose Chung about it, he says that Mulder was in the diner by himself that night with no one else. And that he kept asking the cook strange questions about UFOs and alien abductions. But how he would do it was he would order one piece of sweet potato pie, ask a question,
and take a bite.
Eat the whole pie.
But
the way that we were seeing it was
he's taking a bite.
But then the next shot, when he was replacing it, he was pulling a clean plate.
Yeah. No, he's taking one bite and asking the question at the same time. So every time he asks a question, he gets a brand new piece of pie. But David Duchovny is eating a piece of pie every single time, every take. For how many questions? He must have been miserable, because he's not pocketing it like you'll see some people do. He's eating a piece of pie, eating a
bite
chunk of pie every time.
And he was taking a chunk too. He wasn't taking a smaller and smaller piece each time.
You could see a couple of them. The piece was kind of small. It must have been later in the day, but I loved it. Because, oh god, he must have been so miserable.
Do you think he
I hope it was raining outside, too.
Yes, of course. I was thinking that when you said he was miserable. I'm like, of course he's miserable. He's David Duchovny in Canada. He hates Canada. Do you think he's eaten sweet potato pie since?
Oh, never again.
I don't think so either.
Not even Patti LaBelle's.
After leaving the diner, Mulder returns to the motel that he and Scully are staying in and finds the men in black that we've seen earlier, played by Jesse Ventura, and question mark. In Scully's room, Mulder questions them about Scully, and Jesse says, I love the delivery of this. What is he doing? He's messing with something, the TV or something, and he turns around and he goes, she went to get some ice.
She went to go get some ice.
And I was like, and I laughed out loud because I was like, of course she didn't go get some ice. And then Scully walks in the door with a bucket of ice. And I was like, what? And so in all caps, which turned out to be true. Oh, I found it hilarious. Scully appears to be in a trance, or at least not reacting, and has no memory of seeing the men in black. So we get some more detail. Do you want to be the first man in black again?
Absolutely.
Okay, I will be Mulder.
Some alien encounters are hoaxes perpetrated by your government to manipulate the public. Some of these hoaxes are intentionally revealed to manipulate the truth seekers who become discredited if they disclose the deliberately absurd deception.
Similar things are said about the men in black. That they purposely dress and behave strangely so that if anyone tries to describe an encounter with them, they come off sounding like a lunatic.
I find absolutely no reason why anyone would think you crazy if you described this meeting of ours.
That's when the second man in black puts his hand on Mulder's shoulder. And when Mulder looks at him, it's Alex Trebek.
It's just wonderful.
Who says, you are feeling very sleepy, very relaxed. It was amazing. Such a good scene.
They cut to Scully and Chung.
Yeah.
Because they remark on, he was Alex Trebek.
Right.
No, he said that he resembled Alex Trebek.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
And Chung does follow up. He does ask follow-up questions, which is nice. And it turns out that Scully doesn't recall. That's when we learn that Scully doesn't recall seeing them at all.
Yeah, her memory of all of this is just gone.
Yes. She can neither confirm nor deny that Jeopardy's Alex Trebek is also a man in black.
Mm-hmm. Just that she woke up fully clothed, earrings still in bed, with Mulder sleeping on a chair, like he normally would do, so that part's not out of the ordinary whatsoever.
Yep. The next morning, Mulder, Scully, and Detective Manners hear about the crash of an Air Force plane and head to the crash site, where the dead bodies of the 2 Air Force pilots they met earlier are recovered, which appears to be the end of Scully's retelling, when she says, I know it probably doesn't have the sense of closure that you want, but it has more than some of our other cases.
Even Darren Morgan is tired of there being no conclusions to these episodes.
Yep. Mulder visits with Chung, pleading with him to not publish the book since it will further discredit UFO researchers and witnesses by making them look ridiculous. He says, don't write this book. You'll perform a disservice through a field of inquiry that has always struggled for respectability. You're a gifted writer, but no amount of talent could describe the events that occurred in any realistic vein because they deal with alternative realities that we've yet to comprehend. And when presented in the wrong way, in the wrong context, the incidents and the people involved in them can appear foolish, if not downright psychotic.
And then Chung asks him, okay, but there's one thing that we need to know. What really happened to those kids and those pilots? To which Mulder replies, how the hell should I know?
Yep.
Just like Clive Bruckman would.
Oh, yes.
He picked up a little something from his buddy.
So that's when Chung dismisses Mulder. He publishes the book anyway, and Scully reads it in her office. In his book, Chung describes the fates of the various people he interviewed. Rocky has moved to California and founded a spiritual cult based on the teachings he believes he received from Lord Kinboat.
Wow, which reminds me, the pilot in the diner mentioned Lord Kinboat.
He did, which is amazing because the pilot may or may not have existed.
Oh, that's how you read that?
Yeah.
Oh, I read that the diner guy got his memory changed. Because
I guess
Mulder
that
is
would make
behaving
sense.
just way too wildly in his story.
Is he, though?
Eating an entire pie, asking one question per slice? Yes.
I feel like that would be a method Mulder would use.
I have no idea why you think that. That's such an odd way to behave.
It's a Mulder. I guess that makes sense now that you say it out loud, but when I saw it, I was like, I don't know, Mulder's probably hallucinating.
Wow.
Blaine has replaced Rocky as a power company lineman and continues to search for UFOs most nights. Mulder, whom Chung describes as a ticking time bomb of insanity,
Wonderful.
watches video footage of Bigfoot, and it's implied that this is the only source of his pleasure.
He's watching specifically the Patterson-Gimlin footage.
He is.
That I have a lot of opinions on.
You do. Harold professes his love to Chrissy again, who rejects him and tells him she no longer has interest in romance, as her UFO experience has given her a new commitment to philanthropy and helping humanity.
He's throwing rocks at her window like she used to. She opens up the window and says, "Oh, it's you." Just like Clive Bruckman.
It's true.
Whom she never met, but somehow picked it up from.
That's true.
No, it's you.
Somehow. Before we sign off, I do want to say that Jose Chung did give everybody different names in his book, including renaming Fox Mulder as Renard Moldrake. Renard is French for fox.
This is a great fake name. I forget what Scully's name was.
I do too. The voiceover ends with Chung concluding that evidence of extraterrestrial life remains elusive.
Very true.
And my two final points of this episode, Darren Morgan was inspired both by works he had read on hypnosis, as well as the theory that UFOs are real ships that can manipulate space and time. But they are piloted not by aliens, but by the U.S. military. Which...
manipulate space and time.
Which kind of comes up next week.
Oh, great.
I don't go way into it because I'm trying to talk about Betty and Barney,
Okay.
but it definitely is mentioned in all of the stuff I read. And then finally, in a later interview with Playboy magazine, Jesse Ventura admitted that he had no idea what the significance of his lines actually meant.
They gave me these things to say, and I had no fucking clue what they meant.
Basically, what he was saying is everything that we're going to talk about in a moment. So, who are you shipping?
I am shipping Chrissy and Harold.
Why? Chrissy has no interest in Harold.
Chrissy is about to embark on an obsession that is going to ruin her life. And Harold is just trying to be nice. And not even like nice guy. Like the entire episode, I know the one thing when they were in the cages, he's like, "I'll never let anything happen to you."
And then she gets zapped right out.
That was pretty funny. But, okay, at the end of the episode, what do you think did happen?
Well, hold on. We got to finish the shipping.
All right.
I disagree with you on that shipping because as far as Chrissy remembers, Harold raped her.
No, she let go of that as soon as the aliens got involved.
Which is also fucked up.
Yes. Yes, but he didn't rape her. So in this one specific instance, it's good.
Ugh. All of this. Stop it, guys. Just stop it, everybody.
Yeah, we need to quit writing about that.
In this kind of way, yes. Well, maybe it was a false accusation because he's such a nice guy. No, I think Harold needs to just move on with his life, and so does Chrissy.
I think that's what they're going to do, but
Good.
I'm shipping them. Who are you shipping?
I want to know more stories between the diner cook and his whatever his memories have been replaced with. So.
He wasn't even hypnotized. That's just what he thinks everybody does.
So I guess I'm shipping myself and an evening at that diner talking to that guy just so I can become one of his stories.
Perfect. Okay.
I've inserted myself into this weird chaos of everything. Also, what else? What else? Who else would I ship? No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Nobody
How are you surviving?
Oh, God. Who knows? Oh, I'm biting the military.
If you didn't say it, I was going to say it.
If they abduct me and hypnotize me and try to take my memory and tell me that I'm doing it for the good of the country, I'm biting them.
Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do in this scenario. Nobody dies, so it's, oh, well, the pilots die. I will not join the military.
Okay.
There we go. They're the only people who died in this. So that's that.
And they were bad.
They were.
It wasn't just like, fuck them pilots. No, they were abducting people.
Yeah. All right, so what do you think actually happened?
I think the military abducted the kids.
I think they were going to, but this Lord Kimboat guy is mentioned by multiple people.
That's true. Do you think the military abducted the kids? Lord Kimboat showed up and made everything go sideways. So then they ended up having to abduct everybody because an actual alien showed up?
I think the actual alien abducted all 4 of them. And that's where they're in the cages. I think all of that's real.
Oh.
Because the one guy's freaking out, like, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. I think all of that's real. But then they all get released, and then the military scoops them all up, starts messing with their heads.
Interesting.
That's what I think happened. I think Jason and the Argonauts is a real guy.
So Jason and the Argonauts shows up and thwarts the military trying to abduct these kids. Which is why the town is out of electricity, because the military did a blackout on that town. That's how it opens. That's why they're fixing the power. Okay. All right. And so do you think the original plan was just to pick up a car with 2 people in it on that road, but then it turned out to be 3 people because Rocky was also there?
No, I don't think Rocky got hypnotized at all.
So you think the military and...
I think the 2 pilots and the 2 kids got abducted by Lord Kimboat. But
the 2 pilots were going to just abduct the 2 kids.
Yes, they were going to abduct the 2 kids to do whatever the Air Force does to them, which is unclear.
Someone said they don't touch their bodies, they just mess with their brains, which is not okay.
So whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what they were going to do to these kids. But then Kimboat got them all, did whatever he did, and then...
Which is... Right, because Harold says it's like when you were a kid and you'd pull off the legs of bugs for no reason, and I was like, no, I didn't. And
and Harold said I was the bug. Yeah.
I guess that does make sense, because in the retellings that the military are supposed to be messing around with, it does seem prescripted. Like they've got
They do the same thing over and over and over again.
But then this happened, and he's like, I don't know, it didn't seem like there was any real reason. It was just kind of like, because they could.
Yeah, who knows?
All right.
Don't know what the military does. Don't know what Lord Kimboat did. But that's my theory.
So you don't ever think they were in Goth Barbarella?
No, Goth Barbarella was the fake memory that they gave them, that the military gave them. And if Chrissy had gone under hypnosis one more time, she would have gotten the real thing, which is...
The Cast Files is produced by Kristen Riley and Daive Reed. Edited by Daive Reed. You can find us on Twitter at Cast Files. You can find me on Twitter at Daive Reed. That's DaiveReed. You can email us at thecastfiles. That's the with 2 E's at gmail.com. If you could please go rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, and tell us that we are doing phenomenal things. Artistic, wonderful things. We are raising the bar on podcasting. We would love you forever for that. We have a TeePublic store. You can go buy t-shirts and stuff there. Music by House 6. Logo by @OokaArt. That's OOKAART.